Yes, please, JD.
Yes. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all of you to this edition of Data Dialogues. And me also turn on my camera. Yeah. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and I welcome all of you to this edition of Data Dialogues. As you know, Data Dialogues is one of the series of talks which we hold at the Center of Data for Public Good in collaboration with the Center for Society and Policy at the Indian Institute of Science. And today we are here with a very interesting topic. So as you know that India is one of the leaders when it comes to digital public infrastructures. Some of the DPIs which have been established in India, like Aadhaar, for example, or UPI, have now gone beyond India. In that spirit, the government is also thinking of digital transformation of the postal services. Right, one of the features which has recently come up is called DigiPin, and there are other things which are related to DigiPin, like digital address and how it is basically positioned as a DPI. And today I'm very happy that we have amongst us uh, you know uh, uh, Gokul, Mr. Gokul CV, who is the ADG and DAC. I'm honored to introduce him to all the audience. So just a brief profile of Mr. Gokul. He is a Indian Postal Service officer from the 2019 batch. He graduated from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, with Chemical Engineering branch in 2017. And earlier he worked as a ADG for the Financial Action Task Force, followed by ADG Project Management Unit, and later on as ADG Postal Operations. In his career, he also had a short stint as SSPO of Jalandhar, Punjab. Right now, he is working in the DAC, Digital Address Cell, at the Department of Posts, Ministry of Communications, for close to now 1.5 years. And he leads all these efforts about the DigiPin and the digital address. So, Mr. Gokul, I welcome you to this series. Thank you for accepting the invite and for your time. And the talk would be positioned in a way like you can walk us through some presentations for 30 to 40 minutes, and we'll follow up with questions. And at the end, I apologize for the initial technical goof up. Yeah. So Gokul,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Uh,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jyotirmay. Thank you, CDPG, for this opportunity to interact with other experts and the people and other people from this field. Like I said, I'm Gokul. I am from Department of Post, Ministry of Communication. Hope I'm audible. Um, in case of any, there is some network issue. In case there is any network issue, please let me know. Um, so, yeah, I think we'll start the session. You, as everyone acknowledge, as everyone know, India have this issue of addressing in the country. It is estimated that 0.5 percentage of GDP. There's a 2018 study which estimate that 0.5 percentage of annual GDP loss due to non-standardization of address and due to inefficiency in service delivery associated with non-standardization. And it was also acknowledged by multiple avenues in the within the government also. So um, it was decided at various levels in within the government also that we should solve this issue. So there were multiple approaches to solving this issue. One is obviously which already there are some solutions, proprietary private led models. So there are some private led solutions for this. So that was one model we could go for, and one alternate method is a very centralized model where many of the countries follow, especially UK and all follow, which is a more government led, a centralized address database kind of a model. but we also, while we had past 1 to 2 years was of this journey of creating this solution and formulating solution, we, based on our interaction with various stakeholders, we were of the opinion, and we could clearly see this is not something government alone should be, creating some kind of full control and creating a very centralized, very top down kind of an approach. So we came, based on our stakeholder consultation that we had, we it was clear to us that it should be a digital public infrastructure. So that's how slowly this project also got into that shape of, digital public infrastructure, kind of a solution for solving the addressing problem of the country. Can you go to the next slide? uh, so like we said, we kind of looked at different models of different countries. Like there are some good models out there in Estonia, Australia. Then so we looked at all these models, and what we understand is that almost all countries have, an addressing reference system and also an address information management system built on top of it. So we were of that understanding that India require a refined India specific addressing reference system. Uh, the last time India came up with an address reference system was in 1972, some kind of a national level addressing reference system from a government side. It was in 1972, which is kind of a system, both human interpretable and system readable kind of an identifier. It was PIN code. So after 1972, at a national level, which could be, adopted both by the private and the government, there was very limited examples in front of us. There was some, obviously some, initiative, private entity initiative, private sector initiative, which was appreciable. So when we so we during the stakeholder consultation, and we kind of formalized this vision into to create to establish a standardized interoperable geocode addressing system for which give power to the user and allow seamless address sharing across ecosystems. And like what we understood is that address is not something just for the logistics sector or for the government. It's a data point which is consumed across the sector, both government, within the government also service facing department, as well as record keeping departments in the private sector, maybe financial sector, logistics sector, other service delivery sector. So there are different avenues, different sectors altogether, in which address as a data point is created, shared and consumed actually. So we kind of pivoted this project and this idea to make sure that it should be our users, the users who are creating this, should be having control over the data that they have created and they want to associate themselves with. So that was the overall vision of this ecosystem. Can we go to the next slide? So, as part of that vision, we clearly identified some of the mission statement. From a we more or less, the mission statement reflects the digital public infrastructure model itself. Like first we under highlighted the fact that we have to recognize address information management as a core public infrastructure, which is fundamental for effective governance from a geospatial governance perspective, and also from a service delivery which is inclusive. To ensure that there is no digital divide, and also from a from a user perspective to provide a better user experience from as a beneficiary of a better service delivery. So we have to recognize the fact that address information management is a core public infrastructure. That was the first statement. Second statement is something to develop an enablement for an address data sharing and management. How do we how do we set up such a ecosystem which allows seamless integration of address data across the sector? So to set up that the tech stack behind it, there is a need to set up that tech stack. uh, Third thing is that how do you ensure user, how do to ensure user autonomy, the control back to the user, like we discussed. These are more or less, these mission statement also reflect the DPI nature of the whole ecosystem. Um, um, and again, so that the building blocks are there, so that around addressing, so that we can establish address as a service, and both public and private sector can co-create and come up with lot of value added service around the addressing problem, the address as a solution. That So these are the some of the mission statement we have identified under the digital public infrastructure, digital address, DPI, digital public infrastructure. So before going ahead, I just want to, maybe some of you are already aware, some may not be. So we have published through a document, a policy document called Dhruva. It's a policy document which explains this vision statement and the background activities and the context for the project itself, and the need to create such an infrastructure in the country, and what are the components of this ecosystem, and what are its implications. So we have shared this document, and I'm happy to say that FSID IAC has where CDPG FSID IAC helped a very crucial role in framing this document. They collaborated with Department of Post in this process of framing this. So I take this opportunity to thank Jyotirmay and their team for helping us framing this document. And if the document is out there, I kindly request all the people in the audience to also give your valuable comments on the document. I think we can go ahead. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So, like I said, what are the limitations associated with the existing addressing system in the country. The main, what I would say, the major point is that the way in which address is created, shared, and consumed, since it's mainly textual based, this textual address data sharing, creation, and management act as a bottleneck for digitalization of service delivery. Obviously there is an one way is that where if you are capturing the location itself, okay, there are some proprietary solutions which solve it. But what we have noticed is that address is also consumed in as a textual manner, and since there is some kind of need for a human interpretation of address. So how do the fact that there is no GIS data associated with an address, and it is purely text based in most of the scenarios, this is one of the major roadblock for digitalization of service delivery across the sector. And like all other issues regarding which accessibility in rural areas and rugged terrains and areas in which there is no standard addressing system. And from a utility identification standpoint, that means you usually associate address with entities like apartments, houses, commercial and entities, offices. But we also sometimes actually need to address utilities for the purpose of service delivery, or repairs and all those. And so utility identification is also an issue when we are dealing with textual address. And there are like multiple factors. There is lot of variation of the way the structure of address and across the different geography of the country. It's slightly different in rural areas, slightly different in how it is represented in Tamil Nadu, might be different from how it is consumed in maybe somewhere in UP or in Bihar or in Gujarat. It varies from state to state, even within the state, from rural area to urban area. So there are a lot of issues with the existing way of addressing. Can you go ahead? So addressing this, so identifying this, we clearly based on our the stakeholder consultation and other our the partners that we have onboarded. We the solution that we have come up with is a two-layer approach, like the start of our presentation. Like we need to have an address reference system which is uniform for the country. So we came up with something called digipin. It's nothing but a national addressing grid. It has that tried to solve the address referencing part of things, and on top of it we have something called a digital address, which is a user defined label for the purpose of for the purpose of user to share his or her address wherever he or she intend to share it with. We can get into each component. Can you go to the next slide? So what DGPIN is, that DGPIN is like a geohash algorithm, right? There are a lot of similar algorithms in the country, which is nothing but a pure function which convert lat long into some kind of alphanumeric characters. So it's a symbol encoding function. It is like, if you see that we have shared the it's an open source code, first of all, which we developed in collaboration with IIT Hyderabad and NRSC ISRO. So Department of Post made sure that this is an open source function, and the whole sole function of sole purpose of this function is to represent the location in a human readable, system readable format, which is easy to use, which does not require the technical know-how representations of lat longs, the notations and all. So some kind of ease of representation of location. In India, we obviously have alternate solution which already exist. These are all in one way or the other some kind of geohash algorithm, some kind of encoding algorithms. Some are proprietary, some are open source. But if there was a need identified that government should take the initiative to create a open source addressing geohash algorithm like this, so that the whole country. What is the value addition of this? You see, I or you, anyone from the audience can come up with some kind of encoding algorithm like this. We just need a pen and paper and some schema, right? So what is the value addition is the consensus building that the Department of Post is building. Actually, it's that consensus building. When someone like Department of Post is coming and proposing this based on technical, with the help of technical expert, and bringing making it as an open source solution which is accessible and both government and private sector, it builds consensus between citizens, government, and private sector. See how PIN code was introduced in 1972 in the pre-internet era. When it was introduced, PIN code was it took like now it is almost 50, more than 50 years. PIN code has been adopted by the general citizen as a way of representing their geographical area where they belong, and it is used by private sector. It is also used by government. So that is the value addition. I won't. Yes, it's a technical solution, but if I can judge myself, uh, uh, I would see that that it is that consensus building that is the value proposition actually. So that is where I think we are in the right way. We have the right guidance in this manner, and we have released the technical code of this digipin in public domain. We have released the GitHub repository in the public domain under Apache 2.0 license. I kindly request the from audience to kindly go through it, and you are free to implement, come up with your own solutions. You can build your own applications on top of it. So I kindly request audience members to kindly go through the GitHub repository. It is available in the public domain. If request, we can also reach out to through CDPG in case after this presentation, if there is a need for some kind of uh, uh, relevant documentation to be shared among the audience, we can do that. That's not an issue. All the relevant documentation that we are discussing here, we can share it, whichever resources are there already there in the public domain. I think we can also talk about the schema if you think, if the time permits. Can you go to the next slide? Like I said, DGPN is like, no, it's a very simple, I would say, an arithmetic equation where, the Indian region, subcontinent of a 36-degree latitudinally, 36-degree longitudinally, that area is divided into 16 grid points, and 16 alphanumeric characters are selected, and, these characters are assigned to in a predefined manner, and through a hierarchy based iterative method, each grid is further divided into 16 grid points, and the same alphanumeric characters based on the predefined schema is assigned to these grid points. And at the end of 10th iteration, we end up having 10 alphanumeric character code representing somewhere around 3.8 meter into 3.8 meter unit area. So it's a very simple function. It's an open source function. The GitHub repo of explaining the code, and we have shared it in public domain, like I said. So I kindly request you to go through it. I think I'll take the questions in the end. I don't mind taking the question now. Like CDPG team, what do you think? Should I, before going to the next part of the session, do you think we have to take question here, or I should complete the whole presentation for more questions?
So
What do you think?
generally, yeah. So Gokul, generally we take the questions at the end, but maybe this is a good opportunity to pause for a moment and ask if the audience has some questions pertaining to DigiPin, especially. Any questions
I
from
think
the
that is a
audience?
good idea. I think we can
Yeah.
open. I think we can
Hmm.
open for two or three questions. If at all
Yes.
someone has any query, then we
So
can go ahead and complete. Otherwise, it will be very monotonous speech,
sure,
actually.
sure, sure. So please put your query in the chat box, and maybe the team can then allow maybe unmute you. You can raise your hand as well. Okay. So we have a question here from Bharat Ramesh. So Bharat, Dr. Bharat is a colleague Gokul here at CDPG, right? Uh, so is DGPin being trailed in India somewhere?
Actually, I don't know what trail means. What I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like,
Is it possible to unmute Bharat, Namrata? Trial.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
like I
think
mean,
I
the
just got
trial.
a
Hey,
yeah, I
Bharat.
think I just got my mic ability here.
Yeah,
Thanks.
hi, Bharat.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like what are the practical ways in which this has been trialed in India?
Yeah, so
Trialed.
Bharat, yeah, Bharat. So what we did is that in July of 2024, we released the beta version of DigiPin, and we did an extensive outreach stakeholder consultation in 2024 with all the ministries, state government, private sector. There were already some integration and some based on the comments we released in. Uh, During 2024 period, we take those based on the trials. We also internally did some of the pilots based on the studies of those pilots. Take away from those pilots, we optimized the code, and in January 2025, this January, we finalized the we made some changes based on our consultation, based on the external outputs and our internal team. And in January we finalized it, and in May we released the final version of the DigiPin, and now we have a web application of for the people to know their DigiPin, and also if they have the DigiPin to get the corresponding location. So now we have a web application. If you randomly search in in internet, you will get almost more than 15 to 20 websites people have developed on their own based on the source codes we have released. There is also Android application people have developed. People are developing like small widgets. So there are a lot of developer community has been very enthusiastic about it, and we are receiving feedback as we speak. There are a lot of feedbacks coming in, most of them positive, I would say. And so we have around 65 lakh URL hits in the web application. It also show how the enthusiasm. Uh, uh, Regarding other trials, some of the private sector, from especially from the financial sector, we are getting a lot of response actually from based on their uh, the way in which they want they can integrate. And also these are some of the ways in which different players people have already done some kind of trial with the digipin code that is released. But I just want to tell you that we released it in the public only 1 month ago, so yeah, we are still in that growing phase.
Yeah, I'm just curious, Gokul, once you've put this in the public domain, is the way the code you have released, will it have the same kind of functionality if somebody uses in their app? Because what happens in these kind of open source projects is somebody makes a tweak, like what Shalab is asking, what determine the 10 digits instead of, some other designation, somebody does something else and the digit pin changes. Like, how are you going to standardize all this?
So, so here the thing is, like I said, there are a lot of geohash algorithms already in place. So we are not, we are the okay. We could have done. There was an alternative way to it. We could have gatekeep the solution, and we could have created, some kind of mandatory API integration with our ecosystem for the purpose of uh, 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 code encoding and decoding of digipin, like the way Ghana did it some years back. But
Mm,
again, we don't think that is the right way for solving this issue. It's not that control. That control affects the scalability of the project. So what we
mm,
have done is that we have released the source code. This is the second time we did that. When we released the beta, we took all the necessary feedback from all across India. It took us almost 1 year for further optimization. Now what we are planning is that now we have the final code, okay, and it is all again as we have released at through our GitHub repository. It's an open source code under Apache 2.0 license. uh, Now what we can see is that still the code can be optimized. So what we are doing right now is that the comments that we are receiving through GitHub and through other means, we are seeing how the ways in which the code can be optimized. And we'll be updating the second version of it or something, but the overall logic remains the same. We have logged in on that.
yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic,
so
Gokul. I
maybe
think this is a great initiative by the India Post and our CDPG are playing a part in it. We are quite excited. Thanks, Gokul.
yeah. Thanks, Bharat. I have another colleague of mine, Gokul, Dr. Shalab. He says that what determined the 10 digits, that is 3.5 cross 3.5 meter grid? Why not smaller or bigger? That's the
Okay.
question.
Yeah, so here one thing is that since like you have noticed, if you have seen the code, it's an iterative method. So every next iteration is going to reduce increase the precision by the factor of 4. Basically, if we do a 11th iteration, it would go to sub meter in less than somewhere around zero point 0.9 into zero point 0.9, right? And if you do further iteration, it could have gone like that. So what we understood is that look, we had to take a call here. Do we need better precision from a scale of this is some kind, basically it's nothing but a graph wave, right? So do you go for a better precision at the during the time of launch? So it will add the code length, the string length. But what we notice is that as we keep on adding the precision, the code length increases and people might find it difficult to the usability factor will get affected. So what we did is that we needed a good enough precision which is relatively user friendly with a decent enough precision. And uh, let's say we could, like you said, we could have gone smaller also. If you had gone with somewhere around 8 digit or something, it would have been maybe around 50 meter or somewhere, some 50 meter into 50 meter, around some that area. So that is something we had to take a call. And we this is and again now we also had to think about the consumer devices that our users have in India, right? In the Android devices and all, the GNSS accuracy of these devices are in the magnitude of the error as associated with this, like somewhere around 10 meter around area. So there is no point in creating higher precision code if our consuming devices has the market has not reacted to it. So we settled that with 10 digit. That was the logic. I hope I am able to answer that. Am I audible? Jyotirmay, what should we do? Should we
Yeah.
go ahead?
No, just a minute. I'm sorry. I I was on mute. So Gokul, yeah, thank you for the response to Shalabh's question, and I'll go ahead. And there's a question for Mr. Vignesh, who is asking for congested streets or cities. How will it work? So can you
Yeah.
respond to this question?
Yeah. So here one thing is that first thing I think many people have a wrong idea. Like in many of the media news reports talks it is as if it is an Aadhaar for addresses or
Yeah.
something, right? So here
Yes.
one thing I want to make very clear that DGPIN is not a unique identifier of an address. It's not an Aadhaar for address. It is an attribute, addressing attributes, which adds that much needed precision or some much needed GIS encoding into the address, right? So this is something. This is a very nuanced thing. I think some of the audience may be already aware of it, but I just want to keep this before answering this question. Now, coming back to the question regarding this, yes. So, what it since we have a sub-meter precision, 3.8 meter into 3.8 meter precision, what we have done is that we have discretized the latitude longitude continuum. That is a continuum, right? So there are infinite number of points, latitude longitude points. So we have created a unit which is good enough for all user human service delivery and all, which so any point in the on the ground has a corresponding 10 digit code. Now this 10 digit code can be decoded back to the corresponding lat long. So for
Yes. Correct.
congested
Hmm.
area also, it has a 10 every point has a 10 digit code. So again, so the point of the idea is not by this code you can distinguish one address from the other. That I think it's not the property that we have even intended to do also. That's not a property I would associate DGPIN to. So
Correct.
many people have this issue regarding privacy. Okay, if someone get my code, so the code does not define the address. It adds value to the address. So it's an attribute. So I think that
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
solves
Correct.
what I'm
Gaurav,
trying to solve.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, Gokul, you have rightly pointed out. So yeah, in the media, I guess we are seeing these kind of statements that new Aadhaar for addresses, etc. But as you rightly pointed out, DigiPin is one of the attributes of the address, right? It is not the only thing. It's not that it does not define your address, right? But it helps in making it more accurate. To reach to you more accurately. I think
The
that's what
system readability part of it, I would put it
yes,
that way. The system, your
yes,
textual address, whatever is defining your what is adding value
correct,
to this address,
correct.
it's not system readable. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and we can also see it in the context of the traditional, pin system, which was, I think it came in
yeah,
mid 60s, right? So one of the
yeah, yeah.
pin basically covers, a huge amount of, huge area basically, right?
Yeah.
And they are not equally distributed as well. I think DigiPin solves that as well, right? Right, Gokul, is this
Yeah, yeah.
understanding correct?
Yeah, so pin
Mhm.
code, there are around 19,000, if I'm not wrong,
Correct.
19,312 pin codes in the country. And that is covering the whole of the India, right? And there
Correct.
is no standardization in the area that a pin code cater to. I know that there are some pin codes which cater to less than 1 kilometer square area. Then there are
Hmm.
pin codes which cater to around 20,000, that range of square kilometer and all
Correct.
in desert regions
Yes.
and some part in the Kashmir area and all. So there is no
Sure, sure, sure.
standardization that way. So we need to have a new standard with to so that to represent the location aspect of it, which is system readable and human interpretable. So what I some so one thing is that people have a feeling, how do I remember the 10 digit and all? But here the one thing is that it's not like mobile number or Aadhaar number. In the case of mobile number and Aadhaar number, your
Hmm.
mobile number has nothing to do with your neighbor's mobile number, right? It is an entirely random thing. So, but in the case of a digipin, the closer the locations are, the similar the code is. That's because
Correct, correct.
it follows a hierarchy based iterative method. So
So
some
let's
so
assume that if it's in a tower, for example, in in a societies, for example, a
yeah.
tower having, let's say, 15 floors, all of them, all of the apartments can share a single digipin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can think.
The thumb
Yeah,
rule is that, yeah. So the thumb rule is that every 3.8 meter into 3.8 meter, no, the
correct.
10th digit changes. So every
Yes.
16 meter, the second two digit changes. Every
Hmm.
50 or 64 meter, the third digit changes. So that is how. So over a period of time, people living nearby, say in a city, they know that first 4 or 5 digits are common for everyone in the city. So over a
Right.
period of time, people will associate them. Okay, Delhi. Since I'm looking at Delhi for in this, I'm in Delhi, so I am looking at Delhi digipin for a long time. So I know that everywhere, almost everywhere in Delhi, it starts with 39J4. I know that. So over a period of
Hmm.
time, people in Bangalore know that okay, first three digits are same for us. So they
Hmm.
will
Hmm.
automatically associate. Okay, I don't need to reference somewhere some location within Bangalore. Now I don't need the first three digits to represent it. So that is the one value addition all this geohashing
Correct.
hierarchy based
Yeah, yeah.
mechanism
So
does.
Gokul, let me
Aggregation of
take the next question. Let me take the next question and then move on in the interest of time. So we have a question from Mr. Goranga Nandi. Thank you, sir, for your question. He asked that, hi everyone, as a user, right? How can I get familiar with a 10-digit complex digipin as a user? So yeah.
So what I would say is that you first, as a starting point, you can use the web application that we have released. There's a web application which you give your when you that URL when you hit it and when you give your location access. There is no sign up. There is no personal data collection. You can just start playing with the web application. Basically, it asks for your location access. If you give the location access, it shows the straight away gives you the digipin of that location. Then there is also a drop in option within that application where you can just drop in and get the corresponding digipin. So I think that will be a starting point, and
Correct.
obviously I think
Yeah.
that will
So maybe the
solve.
audience present here, one request could be, you can go and explore this, and it's fun actually to see what digipin you fall under, your house fall under. That would be very interesting. So maybe we can move on, Mr. Gokul, for the next slides. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we go to the next slide? So like we said, digipin solve the address referencing part of the solution. Can we go to the next slide? So we need to have represent address also, right? So on top of digipin, we have something called a digital address layer. This is a very interesting idea. It's a very simple idea. So digital address is nothing but something like an UPI ID or an email ID, which is a user defined label that user has created for his or her purpose, for the purpose of availing any service, right? So I may be Gokul, I may be creating something like Gokul CV at the rate of DAC or something through a different predefined channel for the purpose of sharing my address, which contain my digipin and the corresponding textual address for the purpose of identification of my address. And so it is the digital address that the user will be sharing in the future, hopefully, right? So the some of the properties of digital address is that it is a consent based user defined label. So this, suppose I created this label called Gokul CV at the rate of DOP. Once I have created it, I have full control over who gets to resolve this label. What is the underlying data, address data behind this label? I decide. So it gives power to the user to who should Amazon be able to resolve my digital address. Okay, I am comfortable with Amazon doing it for next 6 months. Let me give the consent to Amazon. So it brings power back to the user. So that's one thing. And again, within the ecosystem, we are expecting it to be something which can be modified by the user. When I am suppose I created when I was in Delhi, then I moved out from Delhi to say Calcutta. right? So I can keep the label, I can change the underlying textual address and the location. So and one important thing to note here is that this is not a centralized database. It's not something, a government controlled central database where all the address data of the user is stored. We are going, since it's a digital public infrastructure and based on India's technical stand on these, how these new age digital public infrastructures are created. We are going with a federated model where there are multiple stakeholders, multiple entities within the ecosystem who helps in management of this address information. So I just want to bring your attention to some of the key stakeholders in this ecosystem. I think we can go to the next slide.
Just a minute,
So we have,
Mr. Gokul, just a minute. So we have a very interesting question from Dr. Bharat, who is asking
yeah.
that I can see that our neighboring countries have been assigned a digipin on the web app too, because of the grid that has been used to generate this. So essentially, people can create digipins who are not in India, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you on mute.
I would say that actually Bangladesh and Bhutan's problem is solved actually in some way. Now I not say solved fully, but some based on we were desperate to solve our issue. Now I think since it comes both Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal comes within the grid. But one thing I want to say is that again, there is global solutions for all these things, right? There are global solutions. So, but do this global solution have a consensus building power? So if Bangladesh decide, they can already start adopting Google plus codes or some other geohash algorithms. So it is that consensus building, like we started. So there had to be an intent. There has to be a trust associated with the solution also for it to stick.
Yes. So there's another question from Mr. Sagar, who says that Map My India's e-lock, I think it stands for electronic location, it
Yeah.
generates a geo encoding with 6-digit unique code. So how is it different from the digipin?
To be frank, no, I'm not 100% sure, but this is if I am wrong, you can point it out. My understanding of ELOC is that ELOC is an unique address identifier. So what my understanding is that it identify that there is an address exists. This is the code that I'm going to give to that particular that particular address. So it's like a key to, so they have a registry of all the addresses they have identified as an address. So they have given some code. And here it is different from digipin because digipin is an attribute within an address, right? But the eloc itself is a code. And again, eloc is something, it is also a way of uh, control to the registry of itself, right? So if you give me the 10-digit code of eloc, I should be able to decode it back to give any meaning to this particular the unique value. So I need to have again an integration with the registry to decode it back. How digipin is different is that it is not trying to solve the problem that eloc is trying to solve. It is not a unique address identifier in itself, right? But it is, and since it's an open source code which can anyone can code and decode for themselves, it takes away the need dependent. It's bypasses the dependency for the purpose of dependency on any single entity for the purpose of coding and decoding. That's how I put it, but I'm not an expert in this. I may be wrong also.
No, that's okay. Let's move to the next question, Gokul. So we have a question from Mr. Vijay TS. Thank you, sir, for your question. So he's asking, a digipin alone does not convey proximity to known landmarks, right? Harder for people to understand where a location is, especially in non-digital or spoken directions. So,
Okay. Joseph, it's a very good question, and it's a very genuine question also. So let me. I want to answer it in two ways. One thing is that we could have gone with a different encode. Let us assume. Let us do a brainstorming exercise. Let us assume we went with a different encoding mechanism where the code itself is revealing in the sense that suppose a city, a village called Manjeri in Malappuram district in Kerala. Okay, what if we come up with a code like MN, which stands for Manjeri of that city. District is Malappuram. ML represent Malappuram. Kerala is KL. We could have come up with some kind of encoding mechanism like that in the case. So it will be something like MN, ML, KL, right? So the code itself reveals that where this is. The problem with these kind of encoding mechanism, which peg it to link the code itself to some kind of meaningful uh, geographical areas, is that in a developing country like India, uh, these first of all place name changes, right? Landmarks name changes, administrative boundaries changes, even the administrative boundaries changes. District get divided into two, as new state get formed. So once that happened, the coding mechanism in itself get irrelevant, right? So what we did, like we looked at all these models and we decided, okay, let us not associate the code itself with something which might be evolving, right? So we internally we call this dictionary model, where people have to come up with a dictionary of all such abbreviations and come up with an encoding mechanism. And this is a I consider this as a very outdated model, but it's a very effective model in developed countries where the administrative boundary does not change over time. India, like the rural areas are expanding, the administrative boundaries respond to that. So that kind of a model may not be suitable. This is
Yeah.
one answer to what I'm trying to say. Okay, that's why we went with
No.
this model. Second thing is that these landmarks can be also, suppose now we create a separate registry. I'm saying someone is creating a registry of all the prominent landmarks in the country, and they are assigning the digipin to that. Okay, and they want to provide a service around it, that you pass on a digipin, I can tell you how close is this to one particular landmark or something, right? So what I'm saying is that we have developed a system which allows coding and encoding of locations in a human interpretable manner. There can be, I would say, infinite number of value added services which can be built on top of it. So that is where private sector developers can actually contribute. I hope I was able to answer it. Uh,
Yeah, thanks, Gokul. I think we can. Okay, so okay, let's take these questions. Interesting questions from Mr. Vijay TS is saying that assigning and centralizing digital addresses to individuals can raise privacy risks, right? And potential misuse
so
by third
yeah.
parties, government overreach or location tracking without consent. So yeah, so that's a very important thing which he has
So,
raised.
going back to our just two slides back, one slide back. This is not a first of all, this is not a. The intent is very clear. We are not building a centralized database for the country. It's not a national address database which government control. That was never the idea. Like when we went with the digital public infrastructure model, the idea was that you should be giving power to the user, the end user, to manage his or her address, right? So that is, first of all, I want to make that very clear. It's not a centralized database. Second question is that DGPIN does not have any personal information associated with it. It is a pure function of the lat long, right? So we could have come up with a controlled kind of an application where we ask for user sign up, store the data. So we had to, the messaging was very clear. We don't want any personal information. This, the intent of the government is to facilitate location identification. That's it at this point, right? For the purpose of
Yes,
DGPIN,
yes.
that's the idea. But for the
Yeah,
service delivery, somewhere like Swiggy, for Swiggy, they might require at the location with something else. So it is up to the service delivery entities to now how to make use of this. That's the idea.
certainly, certainly. Yeah. So, Namrata, is it possible to unmute Mr. Vijay TS if he wants to, say something on this? Because this is a very important point which he has raised actually. And I'm sure
Everyone is
in
unmuted. Everyone can
okay,
unmute
so
themselves, JD.
because in the light of DPDP and all these things, these consent mechanisms are going to be playing a very key role actually. So, Mr. Vijay TS, do you want to say something on this? Okay. So let me move to the next question, which is from Mr. Gaurav, who is asking, is there an API to get digipins of all villages in India?
When you talk, first two things is that right now we are not, like, see, this is you don't need an API in itself for a lat long digipin conversion. We can provide an API, it's not an issue. But you can, it's a very simple code snippet. You can even create an Excel, Excel function to, if you have the lat long, you can create the digipin. It's very simple that way. But yes, if there is a demand, and we can also see a lot of, private firms providing API service around digipin even within this one the month period. DDOP
Sure,
will
sure.
we can also come up with an API. Coming back the second part of it, so what you mean by village? Like village. So again, since DGPIN is an identifier
Mhm.
of a location, village is a much bigger geographical location, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
again, if when you talk about villages DGPIN, I think what does like it is a different, slightly different concept, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Mr. Gaurav, would you like to say something? Yeah, so maybe Gokul, yeah, you have rightly pointed out. I mean, like many villages, right, can have a same, PIN, the traditional postal identification number, right? But here we are talking of a 3.8 meter cross 3.8 meter. Yeah. So mic is disabled for Mr. Vijay. And Amrita, can you please look into this?
Uh,
Yeah, because I want.
from my end, it's been enabled for everyone. Let me just have a look.
Okay, why it's not audible? Um, yes, Mr. Madhava, I think we all are able to hear Mr. Gokul. Um, I would request you to please check your audio once. By the time Namrata looks into this, Gokul, we have a question. Again, just let me read it for everyone. That digital addresses will be shared across different entities, right? Leaving codes as a marker for people. So again, this pertains to privacy in some sense, right? Like, so how do
Uh,
we
Actually, I didn't understand
address?
the question. So I didn't get the question.
Okay, so Mr. Vijay is asking, the digital address will be shared, right, across entities. Like many people will know my digital address, for example, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking about
Uh,
the second layer, right? Yeah, yeah,
correct. So yeah,
yeah.
the second layer, and is asking, like, will it not leave codes as markers for people? So sort of a profiling sort of thing. I know that this is the digital address of this person, right? I mean, so that's
Correct.
a.
So here the one thing is that if you we are building something which is in compliance with Digital Public DPDP Act actually. So the DPDP Act, it's very clearly says that every like data, whenever the data fiduciary, whenever there is a data handling of data any user, it has to be based on the consent of the user for in from the context of the purpose of the usage, for the time for which the data has be can be. So from a time frame perspective, purpose perspective, the consent has to be granular and has to be informed. So and I give the, if I give my some, it is, and I'll also say that this is not just with an any address, beat any data associated with an user. So what I would like to say is that since we are building something in compliance with the PDP, we are at the formulation stage of it, and we are in that way lucky enough to start building this post DPDP, and our team behind the formulation part of it, we have a good team from the legal side as well as from the technical side in FSID and all, who has, who and the how the DPDP ecosystem, DPDP compliant ecosystems are evolving. We are taking a lot of inputs in which different sectors are responding to how DPDP Act is, the
Yes.
implication of DPDP Act. So at every point of this formulation, we are looking forward to minimize data collection and to ensure that you give control back to the user for the purpose in which the address is being will be
Yeah.
used.
So, Mr. Gokul, we have another question. Let us take this as well from one Aishwarya, right? If there's a person's having two addresses of location and their location distance is more, so how we can decide, or one person can get 2 to 3 digipins? Uh, Aishwarya, would you like to say? I mean, the mics have been unmuted now, so it would be better to have more clarity on the question. Okay, so let me try to maybe rephrase this. Basically, the question is how we can decide, or one person can get 2 to 3 digipins. So again, maybe I will take this question, Gokul. So it's not a person having a digipin. Digipin is a basically a code which is geocoded, right? So uh, multiple people can have a same digipin, all right. Like as I was mentioning, Gokul, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like in a tower, for example, in a city, let's assume that the flats are 3.8 meter across 3.8 meters, right? So in that case, all of them will have the same digipin, right? So Vignesh is then asking, how will it work for multi-story buildings like apartments or towers? Gokul?
Actually, there was some internet issue. So, actually, to be frank, I didn't understand the question exactly. So, I just want to say that it is not a function of, like Jyotirmay told. It's not a function of any person or something. It's a pure function of location. So, once you decipher back the location based on the function, it allows you to calculate the distance and all those things. So I think that is the intent of the question, but I don't know the
It's
exact meaning
one
of the
of the
question. I think can
attributes
we?
actually. It's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the attributes. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, Vignesh is asking that how will it work? If there are multi-story buildings, like apartments or towers. So as I was mentioning, all of the people in the same tower may have the same digipin, right? So
So I just want to say here again that this is not the unique address identifier. That's where we are trying to So we are trying to solve a problem to create. So we first of all, this is an open source solution. Just think about from that perspective. Suppose this was the unique address identifier. So what it means is that uh, we don't want to create a unique address identifier decode, which can be coded and encoded by everyone, right? So you can make the location information encoded into a 10-digit code for the purpose of adding meaning to your address, but like you cannot have a unique address identifier which is decoded and which can be coded and decoded by anyone actually. So that is a that I personally don't think it's not a privacy respecting. So unique address identifiers should not, I think that should not be should not be like should not be able to be coded and decoded by everyone. So
sure. So
this
let's
is
take
the
the
two different concepts basically.
Yeah. So next question from Mr. Sagar is let me shorten it. He says that is there a way to generate a digipin from a textual address?
Okay, so here again, since DGPIN is a pure function of location, there are there may be some third party solutions for conversion of a textual address into location first, right? So there are APIs like that, proprietary APIs and other even open source APIs are there, right? So what we can see is that in future there might be predictive model, it is very easy to implement also. there can be some such third-party APIs where textual address can have a predictive digipin associated with it, as location can be also predicted based on textual strings. But again, I want to make it very clear that it is not, we are not collecting any, the digipin is not generated based on any existing registry or something. So it is not, it's a very pure function of lat long. Again, I just want to reiterate that people have this, if at all
Yeah.
people have any doubt regarding this.
No, this is okay, Gokul. I think that's a lot of clarity. Maybe you can go to the next slide and let's see.
Yeah, I think I'll take us time, only time on this part. Then I think
Okay.
almost the time for you
Yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah.
So
We
I just
have.
want to say that how we are planning for this is that there are multiple stakeholders within the ecosystem. So there are address information providers. These are entities through which these digital address can be created. So there can be multiple entities from the same sector. There can be multiple there can be entities from different sectors who enable you to digital address create for the purpose of digital address creation. So these AIPs, what we call address information providers, are the avenues through which the user can create digital addresses, right? So these are those entities. They maintain the registry at their level, right? So again, it's a proprietary model. It's not a central database. So it is the AIP who maintains these registries. Then there are address information users. These are entities who consume the digital address based on the consent of the user, will be able to resolve back the textual address and the digipin, right? These are address information users. Then there are address information agents. These are basically concern managers, which provides an interface to the user who facilitate the digital address creation and its management. Then there are authorized address verification agencies. There are we are This is what we are also understanding. There might be need for in some cases physical verification from some compliance perspective, maybe from financial institution KYC perspective. Some sectors like maybe BFSI sector might require at some point some kind of physical verification. So we are also envisaging that there might be need for address verification agencies. Then one important component of this ecosystems are registries, address attribute registries. These are nothing but GIS, the registries which have GIS layers. Say, what are the state boundaries? What are the district boundaries? What are the city boundaries, village boundaries, street boundaries? So these are registries which allow auto population of address attributes based on locations. So these address registries plays a vital role in address standardization for any particular location. So these together constitute the we can say the addressing the important stakeholders of address information ecosystem. And obviously, like any good DPI, we require a governance entity for the purpose of facilitating, and operationalizing and regulating this ecosystem in a minimal role, so that address technical and operational standards are maintained by these entities. So there will be a governance entity for the purpose of regulating this ecosystem. That is a gist of what we are building. Can you go to the next slide? And like there are multiple, this is not a central database. There are multiple services, services that can be made available through this ecosystem. Collecting address as a service, there are multiple key interfaces or key microservices, I would say, for the purpose which can be provided by the ecosystem. Again, these are not centralized solutions. Different entity would be requiring some part of this ecosystem. They'll be benefactor of one particular services. So there are multiple type of bouquet of services that the ecosystem can provide. Can you go to the next slide? So this is the last slide basically. So what there are since address is something which is consumed across the sector, it has it has a lot of implication actually. So this is where I think it is very much it was very it was very much no, there is much need for a lot of brainstorming and outreach program and expert opinion that there are multiple ways in which sectors itself are going to change in the way the service delivery is going to happen now. For the purpose of the way in which a banking sector may react, say, I'm just saying maybe for credit risk evaluation, right? Credit modeling of location might be a factor in future. When it comes to AML, CFT, KYC, re-KYC, AML, anti-money laundering, risk mitigation, fraud mitigation. Okay, there are different ways in which banking sector or financial sector may react to it. Think it from a health perspective, like from a health public health management perspective. Now the patient address data is being consumed by our health sector as textual data. What are its implication when we are consuming digital address which have a system readable GIS component to it? It means that we may be able to come up with models for predictions, vulnerability modeling of locations where there is a higher chance for epidemic spread, and there is no nearby facility, hospital facility. So government would be able to identify those vulnerable spots where, and they can plan accordingly. Next year in March, there might be a chance. Our model says that there might be a chance that this particular locality might be vulnerable to, say, uh, chikungunya or something. And look, let us create some camps. Let us have a coordinated efforts in those areas, and let us assume so such kind of I am optimistic that in many sector the way in which the existing operations are planned and executed is going to change, hopefully for the better way,
Yeah.
for a better
Yes.
India, I would say. And from a governance perspective, geospatial governance perspective, the way in which government consume address data is also going to change. So beneficiary onboarding, where are also during the time of onboarding of a citizen itself, the government would be knowing where are their address, they where are beneficiary. So how should we place the service centers such a way that these entities are better served, these citizens are better served. So there are its implication is massive. So what I would request the viewers as well as the expert in the who are listening to this and the general public, we need your comments, we need your opinion, we need your optimisms, we need your pessimistic comments, so that during the time of formulation and actually building this, these inputs would help us, to build this in a better way. That's from my side. I am open to any number of
Certainly. Yeah.
questions now.
Yeah. 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 So maybe we can pause for a moment here, Gokul. Let's see if there are any. Yeah, Mr. Madhava, please unmute yourself and go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, good evening. I would like to understand, are you going to follow this standard procedures for encoding practices in AML, right? For creating these DPIs so that they will be better useful while creating the models?
Yeah, so I'm not a I won't consider me as a very tech person, but yeah, our the technical partners that we have onboarded, especially our FSID and IAC, they will be in a better position to answer this. But yeah, we will be we'll be exploring all the possibility of adoption of the best industries, and because we are that way grateful to have such good partners with us. Yeah, so we'll hopefully we'll be doing that.
Yeah, because if you don't follow the labeling coding algorithms, that might not be serve the use cases where we are seeing many use cases using AML. So it may not serving the purpose.
So
Okay. So
just
basically,
I just want to
you
come here just so when you what you mean by encoding, I like
Generally,
it at
if
the storage?
yeah,
Are you talking
yeah,
about the storage part of things, or are you talking about the encoding in itself?
it's I'm talking about encoding algorithms. For suppose we have 29 states. If in AML, if we like to uh, create coding labels, the algorithm automatically assigns a number for each state. Okay, the practice you may doing might be different. The algorithm maybe providing the different code. So if you are ensuring that it is as per the standards of as per the algorithm of label encoding, then it would be definitely useful.
Sure, sir. So we get it, sir. So can you please also, point us to some literature, maybe, which we can go through, that would like, or any website where maybe we can read more about it.
You
You
can
can.
label encoding in AML or ML
Okay.
algorithms. You just Google
Yeah.
it. You can
Sure,
get
sir.
that.
Sure. Thanks for this. Yeah. Is
Yeah, thank you. I would like to join you again.
Yes. Any other
Yes, sir.
question? Last. Yeah, Mr. Nandi, Goranga Nandi.
Yeah,
Please.
hi, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, please go ahead.
So, hi Gokul, this is a great product, but I have some more clarifications questions. So, like as you mentioned, every time I can generate my digipin from the map or any web platform. What if, suppose I'm at my home, but I shifted 3.5 meter right side, left side, or any directions. So my digipin is changed. So
Yeah.
what if, like, if I give my digipin option A in bank, option B in hospital, like many entities, I submitted maybe multiple digipins in a short distance of variations. So how system will take care of that variations in digipins for a single person?
So again, what I just want to reiterate that same point. The digipin is not an unique identifier of an address nor a person. It's an added
Then what
attribute
is
to
the use
address.
case of,
So,
so what is the use cases of digipins? Basic use cases.
so the basic use like let us think of a scenario where the very simple scenario of the Department of Post itself. It's a let us think from our perspective. Okay, one
Correct.
perspective is suppose. So at the time of booking, like booking and a speed post or something, now you are giving a textual address, right? A textual
Right.
address, which is like your name, your textual address, and a pin code. That's how you send your article. You provide your address as well as the receiver's address. The problem
Correct.
with this that textual address is that it's not system readable, right? You might you cannot know the exact location of where the service delivery is supposed to happen. Okay, what are
Mhm.
its implications? First of all, the first implication is that we cannot create a validation whether my postman has actually gone to that location. Suppose we create a validation that my service delivery can only happen, say, in a 500-meter radius within the supposed delivery location. We cannot create a validation like that because we are reliant on a textual address. That is one thing. So in the moment we have a system readable location component as part of an address attribute, what it allows is that now I can create a validation that where the exact delivery is supposed to happen, and I can migrate my operation to a GIS based operation. I can give a GIS based application to my postman, and I can empower him to use a GIS application to navigate to that particular location. Now, that is first thing. Second is the validations it is creating. Third,
So,
yeah, yeah.
sorry to
One
interrupt.
more
So,
point I want to say is that
yeah,
one
please,
point
please,
very
please continue.
it's a very subtle point actually. For I am I am someone from Kerala now living in Delhi, right? Suppose I am asked to work as a postman, say in Orissa. Okay, I will be a bad postman there, but I am confident that I'll be a good enough Swiggy person, even somewhere in say Bengal or Gujarat, where I have not even been there to those places, because their operation has been migrated to a GIS based operation, which takes away the need for the person to know the in and out of that location. So it kind of allows me, it empowers the user to actually be part of a systemized or digitalized service delivery. So this is one way for GIS migration of all the services, both for government as well as for private sector, which has not digitalized, or GIS based service delivery has not happened for all services. This is the entire point, I would say.
Understood. Understood. Yeah. So mostly it's about delivery or delivery services. It's not about banking or any health related issues which you were talking about.
No, again, when we talk about delivery, we are not talking about logistic delivery. We are talking about service delivery also. Suppose
Ah,
for financial sector, financial sector, suppose there is some there is a there is a financial sector service, you need a doorstep service delivery. Say maybe maybe uh, some kind of banking service delivery at the doorstep. So that is one part of it. Then coming back to say from KYC perspective, again it is the textual address that is being consumed. So I suppose financial sector want to come up with a risk model of potential fraud based risk model of the whole country over a period of time, when the location attribute of the address can be system readable. What it allows is that it allows to create such models, credit models, risk models. I think someone's sound is so, and hope I am able to answer the question.
yeah, yes, yes, it's clear, Gokul. Thanks for clarification.
So Vignesh is asking that for different state boundaries, how will it work?
Again, it is a we consciously took the decision that the encoding mechanism has nothing to do with administrative boundaries, so that even if administrative boundary changes, my code does not become outdated. So you if you get the digipin, you get the location. If you get the location, you have the digipin. It is independent of state boundaries. That I think that is the answer.
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Are you comparing the current GPS-based routing algorithms or methodology used by the quick commerce like Swiggy, Zepto, Zomato with your particular DigiPin thing, this method?
So
do you have
again,
any other added benefits?
yeah. So what it does is that you see, all this can be digipin can be integrated into all these entities, all these service delivery solutions which are already GIS based. Suppose right now, one example I can give you is that suppose I know Jyotirmai has shared uh, his digipin with me at some point. I want to send him a biryani through Zomato or something. So I can use the DigiPin as one of the ways of sending the service delivery to that location. So right now, how Zomato Swiggy work? There are options for address sharing based on location sharing. So I just want to make a small, a slightly technical observation here. If your software is already, or your application is already GIS integrated with an existing proprietary model, I clearly see, okay, the value addition DigiPin can be have. It is also one of the mode. That might be the only thing. But where it shines, I would say, is that you can collect DigiPin as a textual field, right? Right. And in the backend, you will be able to decode and decode. So you don't need a GIS-based interface to provide to your user for collecting his or her location. So that
Mostly for
so
offline practices.
yeah, it's offline practices as well as online practices. So say from a customer onboarding standpoint, say there is suppose there's Meesho, Amazon, Flipkart, which from the user perspective there may not be a GIS interface for check during checkout or somewhere. They are purely at least from a customer perspective, they are purely relying on textual data. Obviously, they might have in backend location intelligence model for whitelisting and blacklisting of their addresses and all. But I'm saying from a suppose I'm a fresh user, I am giving a fresh address. What it allows me is that it allows me to pass on my location information as a textual field, as a textual string to the precision of 3.8 meter into 3.81. That's a very, I would say it's a very cheap manner of capturing location. And we believe that it
No,
will.
yeah, but what your DigiPin requires is lots of new infrastructure, lots of new spending, the UI creation and the learning capabilities for the complete human resources or everyone. It's a new thing. Even today, no one uses the Aadhaar number. They just share the card, right? They don't remember people's phone number also. You are, I think, this DigiPin thing is completely, we are going backwards. We are pressing the reverse button, I think so. And coming to AML models, this DigiPin has no relevance or no importance. Why? Because existing models can predict well the geospatial distribution of particular disease or anything, development or anything. So AML models need not. I think the relevancy is in only in offline application because they don't have any device to share the location, to navigate to the location.
Sir,
Uh,
yeah.
so,
So maybe yeah. If I may interject you, sir, like
because
so
you
DigiPin.
asked to be pessimistic, I'm also optimistic because it's very
No,
useful in
thank you.
offline. Who can learn
Mm,
how to read this particular DigiPin, or
certainly.
the persons who are employed for the cause should learn it. But the new guys like delivery guys, many will be onboarding, many will be going to some other job. There will be there the learning curve is very higher. So currently we have good GIS and GPS based UI systems where you can just easily navigate to even vertically the address. I think DigiPin is not concentrating on vertical distribution because a horizontal location may be having 100 floors with 1,000 number of flats. So I think so there DigiPin is not relevant.
So one point here I want to make is that what I am trying to say is that how is this first of all, why does this require extra infrastructure? That point I didn't understand actually, in the sense that
Because
this is an
first,
open.
yeah, it has to be stored somewhere. Yeah, it has to be distributed. It has to be educated. Um,
What do you mean by storing? I think actually I don't know. Maybe I am missing something here.
Yeah, storing means you once you standardize the things, you have to distribute the DigiPins, right? Currently, we
Why
have
is
a
that?
Aadhaar ID, right?
No. This is I am totally I am taught I maybe our
I can explain you clearly. Currently, we are having Aadhaar ID, right? There are 120 crore population, might be 100 crore might be having Aadhaar cards or more than that. So there might be requirement of 100 crore digipins might be or less than that. In some might be not 100 crore, at least crore, 1 crore digipins have to be created, right?
no why what I didn't understand creation. It's do we
Sir,
have to create
DigiPin is
DGP?
not a personal identifier. It's a very simple idea, sir. If I may add to
Yeah,
what Mr.
please.
Gokul is saying, that it's that the whole surface area of the country has been now divided into grids, and each grid has been given a code. That's it. So, for example, in earlier in the traditional way, let's say there is people don't put a pin code, still letters would come, right? I mean, but if you give a pin code, it is better. So in a similar way, I think we should think it like it is making the address more accurate now, and accurate by code which is machine readable. I think that's the whole purpose. So it's not like
Maybe
100 crore people getting a digipin. People
no,
will
no.
never get a digipin.
Not 100 crore people. Approximately at least 1 crore of digipins have to be created, right?
Yeah,
Again, what we mean by creation, it's not government creating
generated, actually
something.
it is generated. It's just you put your lat long, you will get a you can find out the corresponding digipin map to that lat long. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that I will have a digipin, right? That this digipin belongs to me. It's I As far as I understand, it's not like that. It has nothing to do with people, actually, in some sense.
No,
Gokul,
actually,
maybe.
I've heard that there is a good team backing who is going to create these digipins. When I said that label encoding has to be considered, right? So I thought that there will be someone or a company like TCS or someone who is doing this back end thing. So I thought the scale is very high, big one.
No, and so this is already available on the Git repos, right? So it's a piece of code more than that, and anyone can look into it. Sir, if you please allow me, I'll take the last two questions, and we are running out of time.
Yeah,
So
please.
maybe they are more of observations. So Mr. Vijay is writing that it's the new digital infrastructure required for digital online operations. Mr. Nandi is writing it's a logic not need to be stored for future use. Yeah, that's very important, and it brings the privacy angle to this whole thing, right? And Mr. Vignesh also says, so do you say that there is no need for street names or road names, as it is sorting it out for 3.5 into 3.5 meter grid? Interesting observation.
Yeah, Vignesh, one I want to add to that. You see, ultimately, uh, there is a human, we are basically facilitating some kind of service delivery. So now we have a human readable component of a location in a predefined manner, in an open source manner. We are representing, right, and that code is there. So how do you reach to that code? Now, there might be n number of way for me to go to that particular location. So that is where the mapping solutions, the existing mapping solutions in the country, all other service delivery agents, which is the nearest police station, it is the nearest post office. Once we have this commonality of the way in which we are going to represent location and consume address data, it further allows you to pass. There can be like a very simple thing, like a service discovery purpose. Like if I pass on the digipin, I should be able to know which is the nearest hospital from a government DB or something. So you can create lot of value added small I would say very niche problem solutions for solving one particular problem, be it grievance redressal, be it social auditing of public utilities, be it navigation solutions. Hopefully, we are optimistic that our private sector, since we have made this as open source solution and we are reaching out to the private sector to respond, we are optimistic that in maybe in coming weeks we are going to, or even coming months, I am confident that we'll be hearing a lot of integration of DigiPen in many of the existing workflows of many of the private sector entities. Hope this is me being an optimistic guy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gokul. So if there are no further questions, maybe we will. Okay. Okay, so there's another question. Maybe let's take this. That for remote locations where GPS is not accurate, the DigiPin may be erroneous. This might affect end users. Is there a mechanism to mitigate these edge cases?
One way, like you see, this first of all, in those areas where there is no standard address addressing those areas. So we we believe that this is going to solve that issue to some extent. But how US has tried to, they have also have US national grid, by the way. It was introduced much earlier than our system. It's called US national grid. So what US has done is that in this rural or remotest part of the country, of theirs in different areas, they have created landmarks, physical landmarks in the shape of poles, some designated poles, and they have captured the location of that particular pole and encoded into 10-digit code. So even if I am a citizen, I have lost my way in a forest. Okay, I have found this pole. Now I know what the location of that pole is. I don't need to connect to any internet society for the purpose of locating my location. So I'm saying that there are different ways to do it. Some require infrastructure upgradation, some require such kind of landmass creation. But again the point is that you don't need to create every time a you don't need to create GPS location GPIN every time. Suppose through a drive, like earlier pointed out, suppose government take an initiative through local government, different local government governance entities to allow people to get their accurate location DGPIN allotted to for the purpose of service delivery. So there are multiple technological infrastructure and government based solutions to solve this issue. So it will be a mix of all these different methods in different part of the country.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Gokul. So I believe we can close the session. And first of all, I'd like to thank to all the audiences who have spared time to come to this session and raised very pertinent questions. So besides this, I think we are very happy and honored. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sagar. We are very happy and honored and proud to have Mr. Gokul to come and enlighten us on this topic. He's leading all these efforts, and this is definitely going to revolutionize a lot of sectors, right? And address has the traditional way of addressing is always ambiguous. It is incomplete, and most importantly, it's not machine readable. I think this is a right step in that direction. With all the good tenets and good practices of digital public infrastructure, I think it's really going to be a game changer. So thank you once again, Mr. Gokul, and thank you to all the audience. In case if you have any further questions or comments or observations, you can please drop an email to my colleague Namrata, or you can log into our website at CDPG and drop your comments, and I'll make sure that it reaches Mr. Gokul. Thank you so much, and have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Thank you, Jyotirmay. Thank you, Namrata. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the session.